up, guys? Episode
What's
6.
going on? What's going on?
What's going on, guys?
What's up? High five.
March
High five.
break.
High five.
I'm not high-fiving you, man. No.
Don't leave us hanging.
God.
Can't do it.
All right. Forced high five. Okay. Episode 6. We want to talk about how to win bid wars, but without necessarily paying the highest price. There's ways around it. You guys are seeing, bid wars out there everywhere.
Yeah, it's actually a really good topic because there's more and more bid wars right now.
Oh, it's coming back.
Big roads.
Full force.
They're back. Yeah,
It's
they're back.
here, man.
They're back.
So we just want to share our experience and how we deal with it as a buyer agent, right? There's lots of ways around it. Yeah. So usually comes down to price, conditions, and also the closing date.
Closing in, as well as deposit, right?
Yeah.
Deposit.
So aside from the obvious, I mean, you could win by, overpaying, but we represent the buyers, so we don't want to do that. So there are some ways you could do in addition to that to give you an advantage. I'll give you one example. Having the deposit ready with the offer. So normally a deposit is, provided a day after an accepted offer, right?
Yeah.
But having it with the offer, take a picture of the bank draft, that just creates so much more peace of mind for the sellers, right? I've had some situations where they wanted to work with me because we had the deposit and the other offer did not have it.
Actually, you know what? Recently, I was in a very similar situation where there was 3 offers and I was the only one that had a bank draft.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It almost, well, I guess for us, we're well trained and we're good agents.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but it almost seems standard that you
It
come
does.
to a bid war with your bank draft, right? So you like Steve was saying, it's good to come prepared for a multiple offer situation. Getting your clients' expectations in terms of what is their highest dollar that they're ready to pay, right? How much they should expect or what could potentially happen, right? Waiving of conditions if we need to, right? Just preparing them on those different components or those different aspects of the actual bid war, but also like the bank draft.
Let's talk about why the bank draft is important.
Well, I've heard in many different cases where the deal was put together, but then they never delivered the bank draft.
Yes.
And then therefore the deal would fall through.
I wouldn't say it happens often, but it happened to me once as a listing agent. I sold it, and then the next day the buyer did not come with a bank draft.
Change
And-
their mind.
Yeah, it's like buyer's remorse.
Right?
Yeah.
It's buyer's remorse, right?
And
now-
all of a
this was
sudden
a
they don't
firm
have the-
offer.
yeah.
Firm offer.
Yeah.
Didn't come
No,
with
it's
the
a little
bank.
different. That one's not a firm offer, but now that I always have this feeling like, oh, are they going to come with the bank draft? Because it happened to me once, and now I'm always paranoid.
You know what? I get that a lot when clients actually ask me, "What if I don't come? Like, what if I change my mind, even in a firm offer?" Let's talk about that. Like, what
What if
are
they
the
change their minds? What are the ramifications?
Well, they
the
can't. I
ramifications?
mean,
They
a
can't.
deal's a deal.
Yeah, they're in a legal contract.
Well, I mean, okay, if there's a deposit that was given, then their risk is losing the deposit, right? And maybe potentially getting sued for whatever liabilities that may
No,
come.
but I think
come about.
Steve's saying if let's say it's a firm deal, they bring you. It's a firm deal, but it's 24 hours. They're going to
Right.
deposit the check, right?
Yeah.
And they don't end up doing that. So what are the ramifications of of the deal, right?
No, the contract's still binding. They could still get sued. You can.
For
Even
sure.
if you don't show up with a deposit,
for sure?
right?
So
It's just a lot of headache, that's all.
So a couple of lawyers I've spoken with, I mean, this is not legal advice or anything, just as a disclaimer. But however, they mentioned there's practical and then there's in theory. So yeah, they are in the right to sue after they have a firm agreement. However, will you keep the house off the market while you're litigating? So most
Right.
sellers tend
Right.
to, to weigh their options and repost it on the market
Yeah.
because
So
of that.
to summarize, it's a big headache for the seller if they don't end up giving the deposit. But so this is what I'm saying. If you
Right.
submit an offer with a bank draft, with a deposit,
Yeah.
then peace of mind for everybody.
Are you guys seeing how many offers are you seeing in your presentations? Whether it's your listing or you're on the buying side, how many do you see typically?
It depends on the product and the price point. So the easiest, hottest sale right now tend to be freehold townhouse, freehold semi-detached, and they're typically under 1.5, 1.4, and those are the easiest to, I guess, most desired after, because they see the 2-bedroom condos.
Yeah.
They're paying the maintenance fees, and those are ever rising.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So people, instead of qualifying for that, they're trying to reach for something that's freehold and plan to live there longer.
Right. So what's the most offers you've seen this year in an offer presentation?
A couple listings have been over 30 offers.
Yeah.
Actually, I was in one for 39 offers.
39 offers in Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Oh, actually, our listing before was from Richmond Hill, so maybe that pocket is pretty active.
Yeah, it was unexpected. Like, it was a semi, nicely finished, very very good home, which is why we put the offer in. But we thought we went in with the best number or with a pretty good competitive number, and we weren't even close. It was like
You didn't
39
get a
offers.
call back at all, right?
I didn't get a call back because there's 39 offers.
Yeah. No
right?
second round. No second round.
No
huh?
second round. They didn't give me a second chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone really wanted it.
Yeah, this is in mid-January, again when things were starting to pick up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I always tell everybody, I tell my clients, know your limit and don't go over it. That's how you win a bid war. Know when to say no. Know when to walk away, right? Do you really want it that bad? And then at the other side, there's always going to be another place. There's always another house that's going to come on the market maybe a couple of days later or a week later, but there'll always be more.
Yeah.
My
Don't get
point.
emotionally attached to a property.
That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get you. I've seen tears. I've seen, you know what I mean? I've seen all. It's emotional roller coaster. And when we do these bid wars, you usually get out like 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. It's very late, and they're tired. Your clients are tired, and then if they're devastated, obviously, if they don't win, right? But it's hard for them not to get invested into it. So we did a bid war recently, and one of the deciding factors was going back to the deposit. They had it on hand. So within 15 minutes, we get a knock at the doorbell. This is already almost midnight, 11:30 midnight, and the agent was there with the check, and that sealed the deal. They're like,
Wow.
okay,
Oh wow.
well,
Deposits do work.
right here, deposit right here,
that's pretty
bank
key.
draft
That's
in
pretty
the name
important.
of the broker, my
It-
broker.
it's just
like-
one less thing for them to worry about.
Exactly, and they had to take it. Right, it was a very close. It was close, but I mean that was incredible. They couldn't say no to that.
Back to Richard's point about overpaying, you can definitely win that way. However, in this market currently, if they do overpay and the bank finance, even though you're pre-approved, they can still do an appraisal 2 weeks out from closing
Yeah, of course.
and
Yeah.
shortchange you on the appraised value. So if you are shy of 200,000, 250,000, that shortfall,
It's on you. Yeah,
you still have to make it up.
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why preparing your clients before going in is very important, because you don't want to go way over the top, right? Where, like now it's not going to get appraised, right? And then you're now stuck in this bind where, shit, how am I going to come up with an extra 50, 200 grand, whatever the difference is, right?
It goes without saying that overpaying will win you a bid war. That's
Yeah.
pretty obvious. But there's other ways.
Oh, for sure. I mean, personally, the way when I go through a bid war or a multi-offer situation, I want to be able to establish a really good rapport with the listing agent.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I find that actually gives me a little bit more of an advantage. I mean, we've been doing this for a little while now, and we did bid wars, and it was actually like in person, right?
I actually liked in person.
I preferred the in person
Yeah.
versus the
Yeah.
But
the phone. And
COVID
Yeah.
put a stop to that. We
Yeah.
actually have to do, everything over email and the phone
yeah,
now. It's a little different, but
yeah, it's less personal.
Yeah.
right. But I mean, even back then, it was like you get to charm the seller a little bit, right? You get to tell them how great
Do
the
your
property
spiel,
was,
yeah. Do your spiel,
right?
your presentation,
and like,
yeah.
you do your whole thing, right? And it gave you a bit of advantage because the seller would like, I really like this guy or
For sure.
this agent. Let's see what we can do to like help him, get the deal
Yeah.
done.
That
right?
that connection, that human connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, right
yeah.
now, I mean, you, for example, like, with emails now, you can always get the buyers to write up a letter, right? To kind of like, share their story a little bit and why it's important to them to buy this house, right? And the sellers might actually feel, okay, well, you know what, maybe we're okay with selling it to these people because, you know, rather than an investor, like let's say it was like a small difference of 5,000 or 10,000,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
on a multi-million-dollar property, you'd be like, hey, this is going to go, you know, to better value here if we were to sell to this person.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes sellers play favorites. You know, they want to sell to a certain person,
Yeah,
and if you strike the right chords, you get an advantage for sure.
yeah, 100%.
I think
Yeah.
the backstory helps a lot. So sometimes if you're bidding on a property and your intention was to knock it down and rebuild something brand new, the seller might
Yeah,
go
I know.
against that. It's like, hey,
Right.
I want to sell to a family or
Right.
sell someone to just retain the house and appreciate it for what it is. You know, we've shared a lot of good memories, but yeah, if it is like a new family, some people appreciate like new families with young children. I think the story does definitely help.
Writing a letter, I find, helps a lot.
Writing a letter.
So I've done it many times in the past. You know, I have the buyers write their own letter, explain who they are, and you know, why they like the house. Obviously, don't lie, keep it real, right? But it helps. I mean, there's some sellers obviously that don't care for that, but there's no downfall of doing it. There's no disadvantage.
Exactly. Right.
Hey, what about
Right.
actually including a photo, a family photo? Would that help?
I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it,
We've
of
done,
course.
we've
Have
done
you?
That's part of the
all.
letter.
Yeah.
You-
Letter.
It depends how
family
photogenic they are, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, there's filters. There's filters.
Your Christmas photos.
Use an AI generated photo.
Yeah, fake family.
Yeah, this is my dog. These are my kids. Yeah, right.
I find photos work good if they have like a kid or a pet.
yeah.
But if it's like, I don't know, two dudes, maybe not. I don't know.
Hey, there's Adobe After Effects. Right?
Adobe, yeah. Light, yeah. No, I've seen that too. So recently too, the agent gave us a letter, really, really good heartfelt letter, and had it not been for other factors, they would have went with that family because they painted the picture perfect.
Yeah.
Like we knew their whole backstory, why they're here, their connection when they did the showing. They were talking about aspects of the house where they can see their son walking and playing. And so it got to them. So it was really like, it was 50-50.
Play
so it
on
does
the
work.
heartstrings.
Yeah, it does work, right? It does work. And then I've had other clients like, that's great, but what's your price?
It's true. But
Yeah.
again,
That's great.
you're
What's
not
your
losing too much. I mean, it takes a couple
it
minutes for
doesn't,
the buyers to write
yeah.
the letter. And also in the letter, try to include something like one letter I did was one of the rooms was like a really good room for like the kids, like like a boy, and it was really
Right.
done up really well. And it said, oh, the buyer had a boy too, and say they could
Right.
totally envision their son living there, and
Right.
that really struck a chord, right? So
Yeah, going back to that too. So another strategy you can use, going back to the financing. So sometimes you can't, understandably, you can't. You have to have a condition of financing. Understand? Clean offer is always the best for our sellers, right? But if you are going to do a financing condition, at least give a copy of the pre-approval from the Schedule A bank showing that you are good for that amount. And I've seen that. I've done that. It works. Not all the time, but it actually shows credibility that, give us the 2 days or 3 days. Here's the pre-approval letter. And we're very confident it's going to go through based on this pre-approval letter. If you have any questions, the name of the rep is right there. He can explain the situation. I've seen that work effectively
Actually,
before,
that's it.
right?
it's all about providing confidence to the sellers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Come to think of it, all of us combined experience collectively, I think we're over 80 to 100 years probably.
Well, I'm not that old.
Not that no, but I would just experience collectively.
It's Richard's
What are
first
you
year.
saying?
Man. It's his first year.
Babe, but my point, my point is it also comes down to strategy. So, approaching as a professional, you would guide your buyer client to how to approach a bidding offer. And you have the date, you just typically have a date, and they would sometimes be in the driver's seat. And they want to, because it's very confusing nowadays when you see all the prices. And all the prices that are advertised, it could be $499, $599, $999, and they feel that that is the market price, and they want to lowball that, right? If you actually go with that, because some buyers are insistent, okay, just put it in anyways. I want to put it in for asking price, and then you show them, okay, these other offers are much more like more stronger, then you improve it by 100, 200,000. Then, you educate them that way. They might lose out on the first round. In this instance, what's your typical strategy? Do you go in and make a strong offer? That's what I usually do. Make a good strong offer and make maybe a tiny incremental improvement, rather than, we'll just go with something low, and then we'll do a substantial increase, and then try to beat out all the competition that way. What's your take on that?
I don't really see any benefit of lowballing the
Yeah.
first offer, especially if if they know that's not their strongest offer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you risk, as you said, the agent not calling you for round 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And they won't think you're serious. So I don't know. I don't see any advantage to doing that too.
But it really depends on how many offers are there, right? And then, so what I usually do is, before we put an offer, and I ask the agent, how are you going to set this up, right? What are you planning to do? Clearly, it's usually put your best foot forward first. And if people are similar, we'll go to another round. That's just general knowledge, right? We always do that. But depending on the offers, if we're going into an offer presentation where there's 50 offers, I'm not going to bother being don't do your low ball. It's just not going to work.
No,
Just don't even bother. Yeah. You're just
clearly you're not going to get a call back.
No, right? Go in at a price that you're very comfortable with, and see if there's any. We'll see if we can make any improvements later on if we make it to the next round.
It's an interesting point to raise, because it's more for our listeners, kind of telling them the lay of the land. If you try to shortchange the seller and try to get a deal, there's really no arbitrage here. Like it's not like they're really desperate to sell at a loss. Especially with properties that are really nicely staged, very desirable location, nice view backing on ravine.
Okay, actually, so let me ask you this: like, when you go into a bid war or a multi-offer situation, what kind of prep do you generally prepare, or how do you prepare your clients?
Well, financing is definitely the top one.
Okay,
Just double check, triple check that they're okay with financing, and they're comfortable with the number.
Having the deposit as well, as we said, bank draft on hand.
Deposit,
On
for
hand,
sure. Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Not 24 hours.
worst case,
Yeah.
let's just say if you get a deposit and you don't get the house, you're down $10. That's it.
Yeah. Whatever the bank charges, right?
Totally worth
Yeah.
the risk.
Yeah, get the bank draft, right?
well, I mean, personally, I also try to get the understanding of the motivation of why the seller is trying to sell, right? Because then it leads to more psychological thinking in terms of, okay, well, how can we, how can we find that good number or for the buyer, right? And even have these sellers, have a happy median, have a happy win, right? Because sometimes you don't want to overpay too much, or your seller is or your buyer is oh, let's get a good deal, right? And you're as a good agent, you have to do your research and your homework a little bit, right? So yeah, absolutely. Make sure that we prepare them and educate them on all the conditions.
Yeah, well, you go through
and
the
what
comps,
happens.
right? You go through what's
The
sold,
comps,
obviously, the
absolutely.
usual stuff. And then you tell them, look, if there's a lot of offers, it could go over the last sale.
Yeah.
And how soon was the last sale, right? But my whole thing is this. Go in at the number that you're happy with. And if you lose it on that number, you can walk away knowing that you did your best. That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Go
Yeah.
to that number, right?
Yeah.
If you win it, you got it. If you didn't, you gave it your best, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a way to sort of strategize on, or getting your client prepared to understand what their top dollar is for that specific house, because their top dollar could be,
It's all subjective.
well,
It is
exactly,
subjective,
right? So how comfortable are they willing to pay up to a certain dollar amount, right? And then if they lose, and it's they lose by $5,000, be how pissed off are they going to be?
If you know your buyer's budget, doesn't mean you have to max out their budget. No,
Of course
if
not,
you're
no.
if you're
Yeah, of
working
course not.
for their benefit, I'm trying to save the money. If
Yeah,
we can
absolutely.
save it, right? If we can save them, 25,000, 30,000, I often tell them, hey, you know what? I sense blood. I smell blood. These guys are kind of desperate, right? And you have to call their bluff sometimes. They might have a competing offer that it could be just all smoke and mirrors. I feel like it's not strong. We're the highest offer.
You're right.
We have to draw the line, right? I've actually just for just to I guess devil's advocate. I have in a multiple offer signed back lower than my original offer. Just
Did it work?
So when they give you a second round, you go lower.
You go lower.
It doesn't always work.
Okay, so it didn't work.
Disclaimer.
Okay.
Disclaimer. Yeah,
All right.
disclaimer here.
Okay, we're talking about
We're
how
not
to
saying
win
this is the strategy.
offers, not how to lose them.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, as an agent, right? There's also, you know, like I mentioned earlier, was that you got to establish a good rapport. Or I find that I establishing a good rapport with the listing agent actually does help you out.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
in reverse, if you're an agent that is a bit of an aggressive agent, or
You work with who you like, okay?
a very rude
yeah,
agent,
You like to
right?
work with who
you may
like.
not want to cooperate
people
with
you
them
like.
very well, like very
Yeah.
much, right?
Like the agents that say, "Oh, your
Yeah.
kitchen is so trash, man.
Yeah,
Reduce
yeah.
10,000."
Yeah.
That's good for TV shows for entertainment,
Yeah,
but in the real world, it doesn't
yeah,
work.
Yeah.
No.
You work with
Like,
people you can work with.
Yeah,
You
we
have
got to remember
rapport.
that
I got
we're
it.
working
Yeah.
together to put
Always.
a deal together,
That's
right?
right.
Like
Correct.
we're trying to put a deal right in place, and we have to work. Yeah, like we got to be logical and be
Because
very.
yeah, I mean,
You don't want to piss someone off.
after the accepted offer, it's not done yet. You still have to do. There could be some amendments. There could be some visits. There could be some things that you have to fix before closing.
Yeah.
And you want to work with someone that
Mhm.
is
That's right.
approachable, is friendly,
That's right.
right? So that's a very good point. Always be nice.
100%. I mean, we should always be nice. Anyway.
We yeah, in general, we should always be nice, but don't look at those TV shows and say, "Hey, we should try to be."
yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not Frederick Eklund on your $1 million listing or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be so aggressive. It's not about being aggressive.
Yeah.
To get your client a good deal.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to work smart and communicate, have good, proper,
Very good communication. Yeah. Even just answering the phone call and being like, getting back to people on time.
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, that goes without saying.
It's courtesy. Yeah, it's courtesy.
But
right?
would you want to work with someone that doesn't keeps ghosting your calls?
Mm-hmm.
Would you choose that offer over someone else?
Or only replies via text.
Yeah.
That's the worst, right? Some agents they don't even pick up the phone. It's just all through
It's
text.
probably the younger ones. There's
Yeah.
But you know what? Backtracking a little bit. When we're adjusting our offer situation, but it doesn't have to be reducing the price. Obviously, if you're increasing the price, sometimes where we over improve, just obviously to win, be at the top. Another strategy that's not often invoked or used, but it just so happens if you do an inspection let's say if there's a condition for status certificate, or there is in fact still a condition to inspect a home. Like I've done this for rural properties. After the home inspection, we do sometimes do a reduction because something was failed, like fireplaces.
You find something.
Find something, very not operating, and that strategy also works because that if the house is old, there should be some deficiency that you have the ability to renegotiate.
That's fine in a normal market, but right now, you know, a home inspection condition is not
Probably
going
not
to fly
gonna
at all.
Well, it depends on the city. Depends.
Well,
It
it depends
right
on the
now.
property. Yeah.
Right
Well,
now.
Yeah.
Still, because when you're dealing
I
with
understand.
also rural properties, could be Uxbridge, could be Sunderland, Keswick. Up there, they're still taking conditions. Home
True.
inspection.
But if there's a bid war,
Bid war, through even bid war, because financing is a big topic up there
For sure.
and not everyone is still comfortable doing a clean offer, right? And by clean offer meaning no conditions.
No conditions. Yeah.
It's very popular in Toronto, like condos within under 1.5 million, but once you're up there above 2 million and or more, people are still treading cautiously.
There's another strategy that you can use if you're going into a bid war, and home inspection is something that the first time buyers in particular want to do. You can do a walkthrough, right? So
Before the offer.
Right. I know a home inspector who will offer that service at a very reduced price, and he'll go in as a normal showing with you and your clients, and he'll do a visual inspection. You don't get a report, but he'll do the walkthrough and identify exactly what might be an issue. And then you have that knowledge going into the bid war and use that however you want to use that. But it's worth the small little investment to get a professional's opinion on what could go wrong with the house. So you could do that as well, right? So we talked about being prepared by having the pre-approval, doing a walkthrough with a home inspector, having the deposit track or the bank draft on hand herewith. What other strategies have you guys seen or you've used also?
actually, that home inspection is good. In York Region,
Yeah.
I think a walkthrough or an inspection before the offer is definitely really good. But
Right.
there's some places like Toronto where they have a pre-inspection
Already there.
Already
Yeah,
there. Those
right.
are good. Those are good. But
Never
again,
trust them. Never trust them.
it's better than nothing type of thing.
It is, but
Right?
yeah, but you would always do your due diligence and
I
have
mean, if you have the
own-
time, yeah, for sure, you can bring the home inspector through
Right.
beforehand, right before the actual bid date, right,
Yeah.
or the offer date.
as a walkthrough. Yeah, not an actual like full out inspection unless they agree to that, right? But unless the seller agrees to that. But we're just talking about like a quick walkthrough, half an hour showing, so they're there with you and going through it, right? There are home inspectors who offer that service.
Right.
Yeah, but
that's
not
fair.
again. Not every listing could give you that opportunity.
Right.
I've seen some listings where they get like 30, 40 showings a day, and they will
Yeah,
not allow
of
that.
Of course not. No.
Right?
Yeah.
But in Toronto, it's pretty normal to have a pre-listing inspection. Better than nothing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Another thing is too. So if you're buying a condominium or a limited use freehold, like a condo townhouse or something like that, and there is a status certificate, you can get it reviewed beforehand.
For
right?
sure.
It
A lot of
does-
lawyers will do
course.
that.
Exactly. Some lawyers do it actually for free. And I know some lawyers. So I was with a client, and it was $250 every
Yeah,
single time.
it's
And
$250
we
or
went
free,
through
yeah.
4 reviews, 4 different status certificates until we
$1,000.
won.
Damn.
But that was, kept on paying $250, $250, $250, $250.
Some
Like, it's
some
crazy.
lawyers would actually make you pay the $250, but then if you actually work with them on the closing,
They'll pay you back.
they'll
right?
refund that
Yeah.
$1,000
Yeah,
back to you.
absolutely. But that's another way too, right? Do your due diligence, get the status certificate reviewed by a lawyer, identify the red flags before going into the bid war, and then
Yeah.
use
The,
that.
the good thing is a lot of listings have the status certificate ordered already, especially if they know they're doing a bid war.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's good.
But no, but the whole thing is, in a market like this, I mean, it's always a good idea to consider selling first and then looking at your options, right? And then, I've seen people who buy first when the market was hot.
In
yeah.
today's market,
Yeah.
buy first.
Well,
Buy.
remember when
Let's
the
talk
rates
about that.
were
Let's talk about
when
it.
the rates were down
Yeah,
or up. Sorry, when the rates really went up and people were having trouble selling their place, but they had already bought, and now they're panicking because no offers on their house now, and now they have they took a loss, right? Like a significant loss. So, I mean, it's the safer way is to always buy first, right? The safer way, the more conservative way. See what you're working with in terms of what you got now, and then go out there and find the place.
You
right?
mean selling first?
Sell. You mean sell first.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sell the house first and then buy later.
Yeah.
Right? That's the safest way to go.
That is the safest way,
Right.
but only if you have a backup plan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
yeah.
You
Well,
gotta have a place.
You don't want to be
live.
homeless.
Yeah.
well, yeah. No,
Homeless is not
exactly.
cool.
So, I mean, if you have family, obviously, the worst case I've seen is Airbnb, which is very expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive. But Airbnb was that.
If you want minimal risk, yes, selling first.
Yes.
But then in a market like today, it's easy to sell, but buying a place is pretty difficult. You could lose out
Buying's hard. I know. I understand.
5, 6, 7 properties.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on the market conditions, right?
It depends on their place and depends on what they're looking at. But I'd say in general, if you were to buy and sell in York region and Toronto,
Sell
You
first?
got to sell. No, you got to buy first because you're not going to get. There's no guarantee. What if you buy something? I'd say selling is easy right now.
I guess it depends on the product and it depends on the location, right?
I think it's low inventory and given the right price.
Yeah, exactly.
easier-
Low
definitely
inventory.
easier to sell.
Yeah.
It is.
A couple months ago, I would have said the opposite. I would have said to buy first.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I would have
Sell
said
first.
to sell first.
But this definitely applies different between freehold versus condos. So if you are actually have a larger condo, it doesn't have to be in the core of downtown. You may want to consider selling first.
Yeah, it depends. You look at the comparables and see what's
That's
what's sold.
because
Right.
typically condos, especially with larger ones, they're sitting on the market probably twice as long as a freehold.
Yeah, I mean, the key is if you're going to sell first, what's your backup plan, right? Where are you going to go until you find the place, right?
Yeah. You know what?
The backup
the demographics of owning condos, that might be their principal resident,
Right.
and typically they happen to be younger or just family with no kids. They tend to be able to move back home. They have that option, and then they would buy. So
Yeah, that would be the best option.
yeah,
Yeah, but the other risk is if they sell first and then they wait and they can't find anything and the market keeps going up.
Yeah, then you're
they're-
screwed.
yeah.
Like that's what you're
Right.
saying, right?
That
I know.
could be a risk
That's why
too.
you're saying buy first, but generally, like speaking, like the safest way is sell
Well,
it first, know what you're working with. Hopefully, you have a backup, then go into the market if you haven't missed that.
How many clients have you talked to where they sold their house and then rented for a year, thinking that the market is going to crash?
Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah,
And then
I've seen
then
that.
I don't
after
think that
renting
ever
it
works
for a year,
out.
and they never
Yeah.
are able to get back into the market.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
never works out.
yeah.
Or
Or
they-
not never, but like
No,
it gets
it's
very
harder,
difficult
yeah.
for
Or
them
they
to get
move.
back
They
into the
move
market.
out east or
Yeah.
out north, right? And then it's like, okay, my plan's a year, and then we'll come back to Toronto. Now the prices have gone up, can't get back into Toronto.
So it's called pricing out.
Yeah, they
priced
are
out.
priced out, and where they bought far east or north, or I mean, the values just haven't held up the way they thought they would.
Yeah, because 1 year turns into 2, 2 turns into 5, then
Yeah. Well, everyone
Becomes
thought during
hopeless.
COVID, right? They didn't ever need to go back into the office, but I'm hearing a lot of people going into the office now, like it's required.
oh, those guys are I mean, they're driving up the rental price
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Okay.
So wait, so actually it's in summary, just if you were to have to go-to advice, what would you guys tell some of your clients
Regarding bid wars,
regarding winning a bid war?
Yo, consider
well-
consider preemptive bully offers. They work.
100%.
They work.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yep.
That's for sure. But also, I would for me, I always try to gather as much information as possible from the listing agent on the seller, understanding their situation, why they're selling. Just trying to gather more, I guess, information so that we can make a decision on how we want to be able to proceed. Then, prepare them on, okay, here's market prices, here's the comparative market analysis of all the different homes available, right? And, here's, depending on how many offers, the prices could, reach certain points, but, also prepare them on like, well, what if it did sell, like if you're saying this is your top dollar and it sold for $5,000 more, are you okay with that? Like kind of preparing them on potentially losing or getting to that actual like end goal.
For sure. Like, preparing
End number.
aside and coaching aside, in terms of actionable item, like when it comes down to it, what do you tell your buyers? Do you put in an offer early? Do you put in an offer on the day of? Do you lowball? Do you highball? Like strong offer? Like what are the two?
I say early offer.
you like the
has
bullies,
a,
eh?
I do like the
Kenny
bullies
likes the bullies
because
yeah, he likes the bullies.
you could eliminate further competition. I mean, it's not 100%,
Mm-hmm.
but if you let the property sit on the market for an open house for a weekend and a couple extra days, you're opening itself up to potentially more buyers.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So coming with-
or potentially a really good quality buyer down the road at the open house.
You just
or-
never know.
You just
You
it's
never
a,
know.
It's a roll the dice.
but
the dice, right?
if your buyers are comfortable with the price and they're ready for a clean offer, why not just
Right.
do it early?
If that's
Why
what they
wait? There's no.
expected.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say there's a benefit of waiting.
I got you.
But that's
Cut the
assuming that.
competition off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's assuming that the sellers are okay with the bully offer. Some of them don't. Some of them
Right.
say I don't want to look at anything until this date. That's fine. There's nothing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say if you do a bully offer and it doesn't get accepted, well, you go back on the offer date. It's fine. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any.
You know
You
what?
know,
Sometimes, sometimes even if they say no, it's often just good to just test the water. Just
Yeah.
say they say no, but I'm producing it anyways. And you know what? The listing agent is required to still present it. That's actually a fact.
Right.
Well, they're required to disclose that there is a bully preemptive offer.
Right.
So all the agents who have shown interest are shown the property, and then you're right.
Yeah. So
Then they-
yeah, they may turn it down eventually. Like, but half the time, being in this industry for over 20 years, these are strategies implemented by the listing agent, right? To say
Right.
no, we don't want any offers. But if it does come in, hey, you still have to present it. And if it's strong enough, some sellers behind the scenes, I know for a fact they're pretty laid back. They don't care about the rule. If the offer comes in pretty good, they'll take it. They
Yeah.
don't want.
You
to
just
have-
never know.
You just never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
They don't want to have the hassle
Right.
of showing a low, like a falsely priced home. If the home is worth 1.2, 1.3, and you price it at 999, that we call it a 999
Yeah.
special, hold back for offers. if we actually have that, and they're going through hundreds of showings, you know how stressful that is for the seller, and in maintaining a nicely staged home.
Especially if they have kids. You know,
That's
they
all.
just
Totally.
want to
yeah,
sell,
it's hard. It
get
is
back
hard.
into the house
It's
and
hard.
just
Yeah.
live life, right?
Yeah.
So totally get.
Yeah, but if you're gonna bully, you better bully it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The seller's expectations. If you're gonna bully it, it better be great.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Don't
Just
waste
don't waste
my
time.
time.
Don't waste time.
You know,
Yeah.
but here's the thing though. Let's go look on the reverse end, because sometimes the listing agent, I mean, we gave an example in the last pod, right? Where I've submitted a bully offer and it was actually a really good offer. However, the listing agent was like, no, my seller wants this dollar.
She told
Right.
you right there. Or
Yeah,
he
it
or
doesn't.
she-
It doesn't
yeah.
always work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I tried to sell it to her and like, look, you know what? Like, look at the market conditions. It's changed. Blah, blah, blah. This is a
Right.
very, very good offer. You should really tell your seller.
Totally.
And you know what ended up happening was they ended up selling it for a much lesser amount. Than,
No way.
Well,
It was
because
so
yeah,
so random.
like,
So
yeah,
they went
end
to
up
the bid
selling for
war
much-
date, and then
No, like, well, bid war day, I didn't even put the offer in because my clients had already decided that, you know what, we did a little bit more research.
Yeah.
You know, we brought in a feng shui person in there, and they said, okay, well, this is not going to be this is not the right house for you, right? And they're
Oh,
like,
wow.
okay, well, we don't have to go in then, right? Like, we'll forget about it.
The most bizarre thing was we found out after the fact. It was, you know.
Yeah, you're the
wasted-
winning.
Yeah,
You're the winning bid.
We're the benefactors of that transaction. And it was just totally random. Like we didn't find out, and then we're like, oh, we found out after the fact. You were in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is if you were to submit a bully offer, make sure that it's a short, irrevocable. You don't want to give too much time to potentially have other offers come in. I mean, in general, right now, even if you do submit a bully, you will get multiples anyways.
Yeah.
It'll trigger people, submitting. But try if your offer is really strong, try to make it as short as possible.
Yeah, I think the rule is that it has to be within a reasonable amount of time for you to tell everyone that there is a bully and for your sellers to respond, right? Can't be like 15 minutes, give me an answer now, or half an hour. Like, no, right?
But hey, let's be honest. Have anyone, like, it doesn't have to be a multiple offer situation, but have you ever given an irrevocable that's too long, maybe overnight, and
Yes.
multiple offer come in?
Yes.
And
It happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't do overnight. Obviously, you do like a couple of hours, right? You
Well, I mean, the listing agent sometimes says, you know what, my client's working. It's late. You know, they're sleeping. They gotta wake up early. Blah blah. And then they're trying to, like, in between that time, they're always trying
stall
to, like,
and buy
find-
time,
they
right?
shop-
Like,
find
Oh, for
other
sure.
offers.
Shop it
You're
around.
shopping around.
That's the
Your
thing,
job
right?
is to get as many offers
So
as you can.
you got to read the situation, obviously, and understand what's happening, and
Yeah.
like, well, no, like 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Sometimes they're
not
firm
giving you
on it.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you can put short, do it.
Yeah.
of course.
I sometimes just ignore those instructions. You got to work for your buyer's best interest.
Of course.
Whether it be a lease or a purchase, just keep it at a reasonable time and keep it on the same day, rather than having it a couple days and having them shop around.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it looks
so,
like we covered a lot of topics. So so if you want to win a house, submit a bully offer, bring your bank draft.
Yeah,
And
do
what else are we
a
talking about?
pre-inspection
Letter?
if you can. Do a pre-inspection.
Oh,
or
write a letter.
Write a letter.
Write a
yeah.
letter.
Make a cake. Make some cookies. What you got?
Compliment their room or paint
Yeah.
color or furniture.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure the
Make
agent
sure you-
makes a good
make sure-
rapport with
yeah.
the other listing agent, right?
That's
And
right.
be really
Right.
prepared. So be prepared so that you don't have the conditions.
Well, if you
That
have-
goes
well,
without
okay.
saying, but yes.
Yeah.
right. Also bring what was the other one we were talking about? Pre-inspection report. Obviously, if you can do a walkthrough, have the pre-approval from the bank. If you have to include a condition of financing in there, at least have that Schedule A, or even a mortgage broker have a commitment or mortgage pre-approval ready on hand. We talked about the bank draft.
Make sure your buying agent is nice, approachable, and could
Yeah.
crack some jokes and to lighten the tension. So
Yeah.
that definitely helps,
And also know your limit. Know when to walk away.
That's important. Very important.
Awesome. There we go.
All right, guys.
We're
Awesome.
done, man.
Boom.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
High
Bye-bye.
five.